Good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Common Sense News Entertainment's original podcast, Connecticut Common Sense. I'm here with Selena Rifkin and myself, of course, Jason Douglas. And Jay Anderson has got things he's got to take care of today. He's
Yeah,
busy, fight and
he's
fight, getting it
he's
done.
on
He'll be probably
standby for an airline flight. So
he's a victim of the
well,
lack of VHS.
he's supposed to be picking somebody up at the airport, and so they
Oh, he's
got
coming off the
delayed
plane.
because Orlando's a mess, and so he's sort of stuck waiting for that. So we have Jason today instead of Jay. So
Woe is me. No, I'm kidding.
I,
It's
I
been a
think
busy day.
I think we can cope. I think we can all cope. We love Jay, but I think we can, everybody's got to have something happen except for me until you get somebody to replace me as producer. So, okay, I don't get a damn day off.
She never gets a day off.
I don't. I know. That's eh.
I try to I think that Sunday I'm gonna try to take it easy on Sundays more.
Yeah. Well,
That is one cool that the rule that the Christians have. Like, because who wants to work 7 days a week? I think it's great having one day
I,
off, just
yeah.
to take a break, whatever day it is,
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday. But Sundays
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah, the Jews get Saturdays.
Yeah, the Jews get Saturdays.
Yeah. So
I'll just borrow Sunday. I like it.
you can do that. You can do that.
But even when I have a day off though,
Hmm.
when I'm up, here's the thing. I think a lot of people are workaholics. They work, 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 work. And even if they're not working, they're still working. Like even this guy that's working for me now, he's on vacation this week. He's calling me, hey, what about those tax forms? Blah, blah. Dude, you're on vacation. Don't worry about it. Go to the beach. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, you know what? There's something I think this is an interesting characteristic of Americans because we don't tend to take vacation days the way the Europeans do. We just don't take them. It's like some people in the United States are like, oh my God, the Europeans get so many vacation days. Why don't we get that? It's mostly because Americans, I think that we don't actually want it because a lot of us find great meaning in what we're actually doing. And I know I do. It's almost like I have, and because I get to make my own schedule, I don't feel stressed about it's like, yeah, I have a lot of stuff on my plate, and everyone's like, oh
Yeah,
my God, how do you get all that stuff done? It's like, well, I pace myself, so
yeah,
I do my writing thing in the morning, and then in the afternoon I get out and do this other thing,
yeah.
and I'm just the kind of person that my brain's always going. So even when I'm out in the garden, I'm either
Right.
collating something.
That's what I was going to say. Even on Sundays when I'm taking the day off, my mind's still going, okay, what am I going to do here? Well, how am I planning? I'm plotting and planning in my
And
head.
if I
What
don't
I'm going to
just
do?
let that happen, then I
Yeah.
get constipated. I get mentally constipated. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been
it's not pleasant.
self-employed for over 10 years now. I've been self-employed. So
Yep.
yeah, I get what you're saying. And I used to think when I was a, employee up until then,
Hmm.
and I worked a set schedule Monday through Friday, whatever it was. And boy, did I cherish my days off. So I guess I do love what I do
Hmm.
very much, but I still think that it makes sense at least a week or two a year for anyone to just kind of let go and maybe just think about things you normally don't think about.
It's
Maybe
also a
meditate a little
really
bit,
good
sit
idea
by a
to see
lake, and just do a Henry David Thoreau thing for a little while, and just kind of,
if you can
if you can,
get
I can do
yourself
that. I'm
off
lucky. I'm
the
lucky
grid.
like that. I can do that.
If you can get yourself off the grid, that's probably one of the best things you
I
can.
do it every year for a week up in Vermont. I'm doing it in
Yes,
June
that's
again
a
this
it's
year.
a really good
Yeah,
idea.
remember last year? You may remember that from last year.
I
I
do.
even leave my cell phone at home.
Wow.
I don't even take it with me.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. See,
Crazy.
people can't believe it when I say that. They're astonished. Even my own kids and I, we have such a great relationship that we pretty much approve of everything each other does. It's great, but
That's pretty
they
awesome.
can't understand how I could possibly
Yeah,
in the
well,
name of,
it's
and of
harder
course
for
they
that
cite
generation.
emergencies, right? They cite
Yeah,
emergencies as the reason. But of course, Melissa's with me. She's got her cell phone.
right.
So if anything, then
Well,
I tell the key people in my life that if the house catches on fire or somebody's in a hospital, then you can.
right,
Otherwise, I don't want to hear it.
right. Yeah. And it's a good idea. It
Yeah,
really is. And it is funny because the younger generation, it's like because they grew up with this is normal. We're the last generation that grew up off the grid, for God's
yeah,
sake.
we are. We are the last gen, and we're also the last generation. I think that can take social media with a grain of salt.
That could be. That could be.
We
I
see it as I see it.
do,
I look at it as just a really incredibly glorified way to communicate and learn things other than the telephone, like the telephone. You know, like
yeah,
I don't. You know, we were old enough. I was in my 20s when it first was introduced,
right.
so I'd already grown up. You know, by the people had already
Yeah,
been grown
yeah,
up.
brain fully developed and all that.
Right, and
So,
just saw it as it was, like technology, and amazing, no doubt. I'm not diminishing what it's
yeah,
done in this
no,
world, but you know, it's like for as my own personal effect, personally on me. I'm not addicted to it. When it's off, it's off. You know, I'm back to. I still cherish what's outside of social media
you should.
way more and 1,000 times more every time, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's really important.
Hmm.
We got some cool shit to talk about today.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I use the S word. That's bad. I'm gonna try to mind my language a
You've been
little bit.
hanging around with
I
Jay too
know
long.
I know we have viewers that may bother. So, which I am not above swearing like a sailor. So
It happens sometimes.
I have friends who are sailors, so they can actually attest to that. They think this is highly entertaining. Nonetheless, so I have a couple things I want to talk about today. And first is we've had a couple of really good court rulings this week.
Hmm.
And I'm really excited about this. They both have to do with election integrity, election validity. I like to use the word validity. And then I also want to talk about something that's a little more controversial. So maybe we'll get into that afterwards.
Oh,
So
good.
really, I'm most excited about the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. And what they ruled was that votes that come in after election day, like say you've got absentee voting or mail-in voting, that you cannot count those votes after election day. And that's big, that because it's a Supreme Court, it counts everywhere. So that's
It also takes
nationwide.
a lot of the time frame of fraud out of the equation. Is
It
really the
takes a
main
whole
thing.
chunk of because
Not all of it, but
you
a lot of it.
remember the election in 2024, California, Southern California, they were still counting votes 10
What week?
days after the
Yeah, I was gonna say
election,
over.
and
It
we
was over
lost
a week.
two
Yeah.
House seats because of that.
Mm.
Two.
Hmm.
And I don't know what other states that might have happened in because I think the case was actually brought over Michigan's counting, but California, I remember California doing it. So that takes a big chunk. That like moves the needle on our election validity. I'm really happy about that.
Does yeah.
So the other
Excellent.
very cool thing that happened was that in Missouri, one of the big problems we've had in Connecticut is that our people who are working for Unite for Freedom, they're all volunteers, and they have been filing with the state election board, and they've been filing HAVA complaints. HAVA is Help America Vote Act. You're not supposed to be violating that. And so there's all sorts of violations in our voter rolls because
Right.
we have tons of dead people voting. And we have
Yeah.
something they've discovered as they're going along. They have courtroom ready evidence that has
Yeah.
been.
There's already the things that we're doing. The laws are already on the books that we need to make elections fair for the most part,
Yes,
and just are being
yes.
violated now.
But those have to be addressed. And so what's been happening is that when the team submits a complaint to the state election board, the board does something like, "Oh, we have 18 months to pay attention to that," which isn't valid. And this is apparently common throughout the United States where they'll just take some weird petty thing and just kind of brush off the complaint.
Mm.
Well, so what happened is that in Missouri, there was finally a federal judge said, no, you can't do that. You have to look at this. Now, this was just in Missouri, and it's a federal,
Anyway.
so this has to start being applied in other states, and it is about to be. So we're gonna, we're gonna need to do that, and it'll have to happen in Connecticut too, which I'm sure our volunteers will be really ready to do that because I know them and I know how passionate they are.
Oh yeah. We
So
all are. We are all about it because
yeah, yeah.
it's a nightmare. And the Save Act, I hear, has a chance of passing now too. So
I'm hoping for that. Yeah, because we had a downer of a court ruling in Bridgeport on the 19th in that the state absolutely ignored all of the evidence. The judge who had the case in front of them, because what it was is they were suing the federal government to say, we don't have to give you our voter rolls. We don't have to
right.
do that. They claimed privacy violation was the problem. It's like, no, this was a violation of our privacy. They completely ignored the evidence that was presented for
Hmm.
why it needed to happen.
Right.
They just ignored it, which is pretty typical in Connecticut. So
Yeah.
our
It's
state
very corrupt
election
on the
board has
judicial
been
level.
doing the same thing. It's like, nah, we don't want to look at that. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's
anyway,
very corrupt on the judicial level here in Connecticut and the federal. That was the federal court too, right?
yeah, it was.
Yes, in
Well,
Bridgeport. Yeah.
it's a local federal position. I don't know who appointed this woman as judge. It was a woman.
Well, that is being appealed, right? I hope.
I don't know what the next part of that process is, but it's also, it's ridiculous. It might have to go up to the Supreme Court because I know that there are other states who have absolutely said, no, we're not going to give you our voter rolls. And that's insane because on a federal level, the federal government has control over all federal elections, period. End of conversation. The fact
Right, but
that
that
they're
would limit in Connecticut just to the elections for Murphy and Blumenthal and the five congressional seats. That's it.
yeah,
Doesn't affect governor. Doesn't affect any of our
doesn't affect
state local
governor,
elections.
doesn't affect any of the
No.
towns. But here's the thing. If they look at federal, those are the same voter rolls. It's not like it's different voter rolls.
Hmm.
So once they clear them off, and you can always do a whole pile of yes, but here's the next problem. Of course, there's always going to be another problem because people who want to cheat are always going to try and find a way to cheat. Criminals are going to criminal.
Well, it's about not giving them the avenues. Like
Right, right.
right, the
The more
cheating
you
is
cut that
systematic.
off
You know how
and
they
show
talk
that
about.
there's going to be a consequence for it, the less
Well,
likely it is to happen.
you know how liberals talk about systematic racism, how
Hmm.
it's BS.
Right.
Well, we could talk about systematic voter fraud,
Yeah.
which is real,
Which is real.
which
Yes.
is real, right? Actually, right.
Absolutely real.
So
100%.
it's not a matter. It's not. So when John Thune says it's just a, it's not common.
Yeah.
That makes me very suspicious of that man. And
Right.
it gets to like a point. I guess a larger, big picture point here. When we were growing up and in the younger days, most if there was a poll that was anything that was 80 or 90% one way or the other, then
Hmm.
I think the legislature would respond to that. But
You'd
today they
think.
don't. They
Yeah.
don't.
You'd think.
They don't.
I think what they're responding to now, because the SAVE Act, for those that don't know, the Save America Act, which is, all about voter roll validity, it's about voter integrity, it's voter ID at the polls, it's valid ID. And no, it's not gonna, the arguments that the left is putting up is just those arguments, they're crazy. They're
Yeah,
insane.
they're disingenuous. I mean, they're not even.
They're like, oh, as a
They're
woman,
thumbing the
you
nose at
won't be able
everybody.
to vote because because your marriage certificate doesn't match your social security card. I'm like, are you people that stupid? Really? I, how it's not hard to get your marriage certificate. It's not hard to get your birth certificate. It's not even hard to get a social security card. I'm like, do you really think that women are that stupid?
Yeah, and also African Americans too. I saw a
Oh
thing
yeah,
where
same
they went
deal.
up to some African Americans on the street and asked them, like on the street, basically, "Hey, do you know how to get an ID? Do you know what the DMV
Yeah.
is?" And they're like, "What?" They were mad at the guy for asking.
It's like, what do you think?
It was like, "What do you think
Boy,
I
boy,
am?
according to
What kind?
them,
What do
if
you?"
you're a black woman, good God's help
So in
you.
other words, even questioning that is racist. You got Chuck Schumer calling it Jim Crow, and he's the guy, he's the racist guy.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer is one of the biggest head scratchers I can think of. He's a Jewish guy espousing people who are anti-Semitic. He's what? Nah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go off on a tangent on Chuck Schumer.
It's not worth our time.
Not worth our time.
Not worth our time. So,
But what was the other thing you wanted to talk about though?
um,
About there was something
so
controversial.
yeah, so this is
Yeah.
interesting. And as MAGA people, we want to make America great. So this is a question about who is part of our movement. And this is going to come up. It's going to come up for conservative, it's going to come up for anyone who's been in the Republican Party for any length of time. Wow. Can you hear me?
I can. You froze for a little bit there, but now you're back.
Yeah, it's telling me my internet connection is a little unstable, which is
Yeah.
unusual. Okay, so hopefully we will not have further problems. Um, so anyway, so I was at the gathering at the Pine Loft in Berlin on
I'm sorry I had to miss.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was like it was really nice to be with other human beings. I got hugs, I got hellos, I got appreciation. And I got to, whoop and screech for people's speeches, which, most people aren't quite as noisy as I am. So I'm really good at doing the woohoo thing loudly, and building some enthusiasm because I don't know, it's one of my skills. Um,
Yeah, it's the pom pom side of you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was never a cheerleader, but I can make noise. Uh,
Mhm.
so
Woke
what
up my
was
kid.
interesting was that there were two trans women there, and I'm using the term trans women, which some people object to. It's like, yes, these were men pretending to be women, but
Okay.
trans women it's a clear term, and it's a lot shorter to say than men pretending to be women. I don't want to say that every time. It's just messy. So trans women means that. Okay, so
Okay.
very clear about
Would
that.
that mean? Does that mean a trans man would be a woman pretending to be a man?
Correct.
Okay,
Very
that makes
accurate.
sense.
Well
That makes
done.
sense.
Well done.
Okay,
Well done. It took me a while to get there too. So I've had to work through
gotta
this.
get all these terminology down with
I've
this
spent a couple of years working through this
in
one.
order to beat it.
So one of the things that came up is, and I will say that this is, I've met these two before.
Okay.
They were at the Conservative Women's Forum that I went to quite a while back. I think it was actually back at the end of 2024 that I went to this dinner, and I
Yeah.
and I met them. Ended up planting myself right next to them at the same table. So that was just like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's interesting. Now, in my world, people who are different, I'm kind of like, all right, that's unusual. It does not freak me out. Um, I will say that sometimes I am uncomfortable, but I am okay with being a little uncomfortable until I can figure out what I actually want to do about it.
Sure.
So it's like, all right, it's that I'm uncomfortable while I withhold judgment and make decisions about things. And I'm still not in that I've made a decision about this, just so you know.
Okay.
So I had a conversation with, I got to meet a lady that I've only, chatted with online, and she said, these people could be very destructive to the MAGA movement because there's going to be people who are incredibly uncomfortable about the
Just
present
with just them being there.
with them just being there. Yeah, with them.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay.
And
I'm
I,
thinking,
it's like I can see that because, like, for example, my sister-in-law is just completely like, no, there's no possibility here whatsoever to have any. I don't even think and she works with a couple of trans men,
hmm
and it's very disturbing to her. And her description of it is like, I think I would not want to be in that position every day either.
Okay.
And she's in the arts field, so this is much more statistically likely in the arts field than say, oh, you're probably not going to find any trans man in construction. Probably not going to happen.
Probably not. No. Probably not.
For all sorts of reasons. Um, so
But
I
I
do.
wouldn't count on anything in this world these days.
Well, if you're a large woman, tall. By large, I mean tall. I don't mean
Big bone.
yeah,
Yeah.
big bones, and you have a lot
Yeah.
of height, and you have some natural strength. Yeah, you can probably do construction with that. You're probably not doing roofing even so, because that requires a
I'm
lot.
not doing no roofing. I'm all
Yeah,
man.
it's like that is a lot
Not
of
doing
upper
that.
body strength there. That is a ton of upper body. I've done construction, so I have some sense of exactly how heavy these things are. Um,
hmm
anyway, so I will say that I have had person-to-person conversations with trans people of both sexes
hmm
under several different circumstances. And
Sure.
conservative trans people do exist. They exist, like conservative in that they believe in free speech, they believe in being able to carry a gun.
Common sense stuff.
Yeah, yeah, like, I'm
Uh,
sorry, say again.
Common sense stuff, like
Common sense stuff. Like they
conservative
believe
common
that's
sense.
important.
Yep.
And they do not believe that men should be in women's bathrooms, and they do not
Yep.
believe that we should be cutting genitals off children. So that's kind of my criteria. But the
Yeah.
thing is, my concern here
Yep.
that most people are not going to stop and have that conversation. And the second concern, and then I have a counter to that. So I wanted to like give you a chance to tell me what you thought about that. And then
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad you brought this up because it's a very complicated. subject, especially now in this day and age.
Hmm.
And let me ask you one more question before I give you my opinion on it. Um, were there uh, was there any, everything went smoothly with them there? Like, were there any confrontations?
I did no, there was
You
no
didn't see anything
drama.
like that?
There was no drama.
They just kind of accepted. They were accepted then.
Yeah, oh yeah, and they had a
Okay,
table. I think they
good.
were coming
All
from
right,
New Haven. Oh yeah, there was no drama
good.
whatsoever. And I
Okay,
did
good.
not see which bathrooms they used, or even if they used a bathroom. I was
Oh, I didn't even think of that
yeah.
aspect of
But the
it.
bathrooms there are one room, so in some ways it doesn't matter because there's no
Hmm.
space sharing. At the Conservative Women's Forum, there was bathrooms that would have been space sharing, but again, didn't see them using the bathroom.
I'm going to submit to you that there are a lot more. I think that if you look at the trans community, I'm going to add in LGBTQ too to this a little bit
And
as
I'm
well.
separating that out because the LGB has been sort of co-opted by the trans movement. Again, this is something I've been spending.
That's correct. They've been torn asunder by it
So
too.
I don't, so I'm not talking
I'm
about
going to
them
split the.
at
Okay,
all.
then we'll talk about trans then
Just
specifically.
about the trans or the queer or whatever, or the
Okay, I
plus.
think they're split
Yeah.
into two camps.
Hmm.
Um, those that have been trans since before Biden administration, and those have taken it up since.
Hmm.
And I would say, submit to you that I'm going to say what Martin Luther King would say. It's about the content of your character. So I'm
Hmm.
pleased to hear that nothing happened that was uncomfortable for them at our MAGA gathering. And if people feel, um, I'm very, I guess, open minded when it comes to. Uh, I'm glad they were there. I think they should be welcomed.
Hmm.
I think that we it wouldn't live up to our standards if we didn't treat people equally. That's what we're all about. Conservatism is about treating people about with respect, giving them a certain amount of respect, no matter what. And then if they blow it, they blow it,
Right.
right? And
That's
it's
fair.
regardless of.
That's fair.
And I'm sure why the TV just turned on me. Oh, my drink did that. Sorry about that. My drink somehow turned the TV on. I don't know. I think that I'm pleased that they were welcome there, and I think it would be not along the lines of MAGA if they were made to be feel uncomfortable, if there were people that decided they didn't want to go or didn't feel comfortable around them. That's something they should probably look in the mirror a little about.
Hmm.
Now, having said that, because I feel personally I can talk to anybody regardless of what they're looking like or dressed like or what they think they are or whatnot. And I may have trouble calling if they do a really good job of looking like a woman. I might throw a she in there because it looks so much like a woman. I can't help it. But if the job isn't so good, then I might say the
Yeah.
he thing's going to stick, and I might have a hard time there. But the bottom line is, I think it would be not along the principles of MAGA to not to include people because of what they look like or what they think they're doing. Now, I don't. As far as them going in the bathroom's concerned, they should stay out of the women's bathroom. That for sure. Okay, that is for sure. Other than that, I think it's about the content of their character. I think there are a lot more conservative trans people, especially from the first older club that have been trans through. They pretty much trans. Listen, throughout human history, at least in recorded human history that we know of, polls have generally shown between 1% and 3% of people have identified as trans, or that's where I'm throwing the LGBTQ thing. Okay, but trans has become overtaken that. So I guess you would say if you were to ask someone back in 1980, say, you'd have about 1 to 3%, depending on where you were, that identify as gay, and of that, a very small percentage of them were trans, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Yep.
And back then, it was such a small thing that it was not a big deal. People, it was not a sensitive subject like it is today.
Right.
Men used to go out and dress in drag, and they were called drag queens, and go out to bars and do
Mhm.
that, and just for fun. They wouldn't even get these guys straight guys. It was
Right.
just like a hobby. It was just like a fun thing, like playing golf. I mean, it was no big deal. People laughed at it.
Right.
They go home and everybody, even the wife, come home, aha, you do that stupid thing again.
Mhm.
Nobody made a big deal out of it. Okay, I think it's weird even then, but it was more loosey goosey. It wasn't such a big thing. But today, that number is now. Some polls are calling as much as 6 to 7 to 8% of people now are identifying as trans or gay, and of that, the much big percentage of that are trans. So the gay is still kind of consistent at that
Mm-hmm.
2-3%, but this trans is now this 4-5%.
Mm-hmm.
It's overtaken it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
This is because of a direct cultural warfare. This is man-made. This sudden increase and I've noticed it in my own town, in my own local area. There's a particular store. I won't say the name of the store. There's a lot of employees there, and they're mostly youth,
Mm-hmm.
teenage, and early 20s. And there's this one there that was trans. That was like it was a boy clearly trying to dress like a girl. That's always kind of there. And now I noticed over after a while there was two or three others in the same store doing the same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's become cool with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like trending.
That's not cool.
Yeah, it is
It's
not
not cool.
cool. It's not.
No, and
No.
that's a problem. And so you see that number of 7% could get higher and higher. And what that does is it blurs because parents are going to be like, oh God, it splits up families. It
It
causes all kinds of. And again, I've always said the battle between the state and the family. The state
Mhm.
knows this. It will fight and just even though they go on TV and say we're all about family, they're actually trying to destroy the family. Just changing the economic conditions to force households to have two incomes instead of one is one of the
Mhm.
main things that really hurt
Absolutely.
families back in the 50s and 40s and 60s as we got into the late part of the 20th century. So therefore, and this
Hmm.
is another one, okay? This trans thing.
Yeah.
All right. And so the other group that's all become trans since in the last 10 years or 7 years or whatnot, um, that they're victims really. And they're going out and that's where all this,
Hmm.
genital transformation and hiding from parents and all this
Right.
cultural so you asked my opinion. um Reasonable old school trans, hey, great. But these kooks that are basically at one hand you want to they're almost like enemy soldiers in a way, they're crazy, but on
Mm.
the same hand you feel bad for them because they're victimized.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very complicated. It has to be dealt with on a cultural level. We just like anything else, we can't let it continue.
Hmm.
So I see things on Facebook where people are starting to stand up. Apparently, AI is hard to tell. AI is starting to put fake videos on stuff, but I am seeing some real videos where people are starting to stand up at town in other states. Not really Connecticut yet, unfortunately,
Hmm.
but in other states like Alabama and Texas, um, namely Illinois, even uh, parents are starting to make sure they get speaking time at these, and they're trying to
Board
limit the
meeting.
speak at
School
these
board
board
meetings.
of education meetings. Yes, and directly confronting these people with really some pretty harsh but true language, like "you people are crazy, you're
And
hurting our
some of
children. What
it's
the hell are you doing
really
in here?"
creative. I've been enjoying the creative ones.
You've seen some of them, right?
I
Yourself.
have. There was a lady who dressed herself up as a cat and spoke in front of it. She said, "I am a cat." And of course it was absurd. And then there's the people who have been reading these, the books that are in school libraries. They've been reading these aloud at school board meetings, which is of course incredibly disturbing and totally appropriate thing for them to be doing because if they're allowing it in the school, if they're allowing it in the library, they should be able to read it out loud at a school board meeting. So it's like, yay, go parents. You guys are doing an awesome job. So, but
On my
oops.
end,
Yeah. Oh, I
you
think,
froze for a little while there, but you're back.
yeah. Okay. So, well, we'll see how this ends up being because, yeah, you were
Yeah,
frozen for me. So it's like, all
yeah,
right.
both ways. It goes both ways. Then I don't know what to do.
Yes,
But
it's
it's basically demonstrating absurdity with absurdity. I saw one where a guy went up there with his wife, and his wife just started stripping
that's, I've seen those.
while he was talking on the
Yeah.
podium, and he's like, "This is what go through. What women have to go through. Does this make
Just,
you uncomfortable in here?"
it's,
She didn't go all the way, but she went down to
yeah. Yep. Good for
great.
her. Good for
Yeah, so
her.
we need more of that. We need that in Connecticut kind of stuff in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And but you know what though, that's all good and well and good. But if you have people have the bravery
Hmm.
and the strength and the smarts to go do stuff like that, then at least you can do is go out and make sure you vote in local elections and get these idiots out of office.
Yeah. Yeah. The voting, that really matters. But I want to come back to, I wanted to kind of round up that, what I've been
The
thinking about.
trans thing, yeah, at the event, yeah.
So
So
first of all, and it's actually something you said made me want to, we're talking about how the percentage of trans has gone up because what that means is that it's getting normalized. And there's a degree to which I do not want this normalized because,
Nobody should want it normalized. Even the older trans don't want it normalized like that.
well, this is my concern about having these gentlemen show up at this event. One of them was very obviously a man dressed up as a woman. I was really
I
not impressed with the little garter.
would have had the trouble with the she on that one then, huh?
Oh, yeah, there was definitely not. The other one, actually,
What's
when I first met, and I'm saying him now, but in my brain, he looked like a woman who had maybe, there was a wig. The wig was obvious. Um,
yeah.
and it looked like maybe a woman who had, had cancer or something like that.
Okay.
Very drawn features.
You could have easily said she on that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was a woman who was maybe having cancer treatment or
Could have
something.
got away to get in the
Yeah,
bathroom. Maybe nobody would have even
because
figured
there
out.
was an obvious wig, and whenever somebody's got an obvious wig on, and it's usually a woman because men just shave their head under those circumstances. But
Yeah.
it's a woman with an obvious wig. The first thing I'm thinking of is, oh, cancer, because
Yeah. Yeah.
hair with chemo.
Emo. Right. Right.
And the features were very drawn. And it's like, you don't look healthy. But usually people who are not healthy are not like loud and perky and whoopy. There was a lot of
Oh, so they were very loud and perky and whoopy.
whooping like
Okay.
this, and it was just like, and my brain was not computing this. I was like I was like, something
Interesting.
was wrong. Something was wrong. And then I got home that night, and I was like, oh, that was a man who had a lot of facial surgery. And
Wow.
we are really good at recognizing the difference between men and women, but we didn't evolve for this facial surgery nonsense. And so that messes with our heads. As
Huh.
women, it's like something's wrong here. Now, if I'd seen him walk around, that probably would have done it
Yeah.
because gait is almost impossible to change.
The Adam's apple is a good way to. That's
No, they
hard to
can
get rid
shave
of.
that too.
Yeah.
They
Oh, really?
oh yeah, they can shave
You can
that
get
too.
rid of that too, huh?
Oh yeah, they can do that too. And it's like but I have in some ways I have the same psychological reaction to women who have had a lot of facial surgery. It's like when women when they've had all the Botox, and for those who can't see, I'm like pulling my face up, and they don't move their mouth a lot, and they talk like this,
Yeah,
and
you could tell them there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like, what did you do to you? What is wrong there? Like I just find it's like it does bad things to my brain.
Do you know that when women go out of their way to look younger, to like go overboard,
Hmm.
like with plastic surgery or Botox or crazy makeup, whatever it is, they think that's gonna. They got to be if they're doing it for
I don't
themselves.
understand. Yeah, I don't.
If they're doing it for themselves, that's one thing. But if they're doing it because they think it's going to attract men, they better think again.
It doesn't. It's
Most decent men would rather see a woman at their natural progression of their age rather than this.
Yeah,
Eh.
yeah. So so I have two thoughts about this. And the first is I totally agree with you that we should be nice to people. That's just
Yeah,
I mean
acceptance. That's what we are. That's what we.
this is I think this is an excellent baseline standard.
Mhm.
Um, I will add two things. First of all, as I said before, I don't think this is something that should be normalized.
No,
And that man who was dressed like a woman, who had a cute little garter around his calf, that was disturbing. And inappropriate. You don't put a garter is like that. There's a clear sexual element in that. I was not happy about it. It's like, fine, you want to put on a dress? Great. Um, and I have my husband's ex-brother-in-law. We could go into that. It's like the way
well,
he does this, I can live with it. I don't like it, but I can live with it.
there's
This
only two
this
ways we
would be
can
great.
not. There's only two ways we can stop this from becoming normalized, and one is keep men out of women's bathrooms and out of women's
That has to
facilities,
be the case.
including locker rooms and any women's
Mhm.
facilities.
And out of
A
women's sports,
two. Yeah, there's three. Two out of women's. Well, that's one. Out
yeah,
of women's world, women's
out
sports,
of
women's
women's
locker
training.
rooms, women's facilities,
Yeah.
women's only spaces that we traditionally used to enjoy. That's one.
Yep.
The second is um, get it the hell get the transgender education out of our schools for
Yeah.
God's sake.
That's
They're
true.
teaching this kids this crap, this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is, I
Get it
agree.
out of our books. Just don't stop teaching kids that it's normal. That's
Yeah,
the major one. Actually, that's the number one. That's the
that
two.
is the
Those
number
two
one.
actually.
Yeah.
Those two.
Together.
One begets the other, though. If we did
Yeah.
the first one is really the education thing,
Hmm.
because we fix that, then the other one would in time fix itself.
Right. Right.
But
So,
both need it. Both need it. That's really it.
and the next thing I would say, one of the things I didn't say early on was that the obvious man dressed as a woman had run for one of the empty spaces that we have for the Connecticut legislature. So
Okay.
nobody was running against the Democrat. So this man stepped up to do
Wants to
that.
run. Okay.
No,
Great.
did it like in the last, I think, municipal election, not 2025, but before that.
I see. Okay.
It might have
A
been, it
MAGA
might have been,
trans.
no, I think it was 2024 now that I'm thinking. So, because that
A
was,
MAGA trans running. And look. Okay.
so that's like, so for the people who would object to that, who would say, oh, good Lord, step up, get on your RTCs. It might take you a long time. It might take you a lot of work. It's taken me 14, took me 14 months to get onto my RTC.
Yeah.
Step up and make sure that we have choices that you're going to like. Because the
Mhm.
only way that happens is if you are involved in your local Republican Party. That's the
That's
only
right.
way that happens.
And by the way, your
That's
local
it.
Democrat.
That's it.
Also, I don't want to leave out the DTCs either. By the way, if you're a moderate, reasonable Democrat, you go make
Democrats
noise.
aren't going to be upset about this, and I'm just talking
No, I
about
get
this
it,
one issue.
but I'm just saying that, and it's all, and don't forget the town councils and board of education meetings. Get to all that stuff. We got to saturate the market, man,
Yeah.
because we have a real problem here. We have to. There's a lot of. I'm going to start using. I was telling Court earlier in our show. I've mentioned it a few times. We're going to start using the word evil more because it's evil is a real thing, and chaos and evil are actually synonymous. And the left wing Democratic Party has been fomented by people that are evil,
Hmm. So
that foment chaos.
I'm going to tell you my objection to the term evil, and I'm not objecting to the fact that you're using it. I'm just saying that just remember that when you use the term evil, it's very easy to say, oh, they're evil and externalize it. We are both sides of this coin, and every day we make choices about which direction we're going to go. You cannot externalize evil because it lives inside us. We have impulses, both dark and light, and some of those impulses change depending on the situation. We need
Well,
to be aware of
take
our
someone
own
like
impulses before we start pointing fingers.
I
And
want to
I'm
take. I
not
want
I'm
to take.
not saying that I don't agree that there's stuff out there that is like that stuff should not be happening. That is bad.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's,
someone like
and it's like I'm not saying don't use the word. I'm not at
no,
all.
I know what you're
And that would
saying.
be stupid because people are using it and it's got to
You're
get.
you're not going to use it. Not. I don't think it's used enough, really. Like I know a lot of people don't use it. You don't use it.
I,
I'll try. I'll try to be sparing with it. But there's certain people like Omar say.
hmm,
All right, anyone who is in his who devoutes, and I'm not going to get into it too much right now. But
hmm.
if you're an Islamist fundamentalist and you're either taking part in or rooting for the demise of freedom and people's rights and want to do what you do to women, that's the epitome of evil, in my opinion. I don't have another word for it unless you have a better one.
I
That's
like to use the word dark or unhuman.
sure, okay,
Okay?
inhumane, dark,
Not
horrible,
inhumane, unhuman.
terrible,
Like
terrible, unhuman,
yeah,
terrible,
I like
horrible.
unhuman because that was actually in a Jack Persibiak, and I'm probably mangling his name, and I apologize, Jack, for mangling your name. But he wrote a book called The Unhumans,
Yeah.
and he goes through. You might actually enjoy it. He goes through. It's a historical thing. It's a book on history, and he basically goes through, and he doesn't call these people. He calls them unhumans. It's like you're being a bad human. You're being a bad human when you do that
Okay.
because it's anti-human survival because Islamism and communism both bad for human survival
Yeah.
for a couple of different reasons. And we could, I can go into that because that's another thing I've spent some time thinking about. And communism, yeah, that's really bad for human survival because that's why, this is
Yeah.
they want to destroy things that work well for humans.
The only evidence in the history of mankind altogether, in human history altogether, the only evidence of people thriving, regular people doing well, is with free market.
Yeah. Yeah, we've
There
done
is
very well
not
with
a
treatment.
drop of evidence of communism or socialism
Right.
or
None of that.
Islamicism or anything doing that. So I will talk more in another show about Islam. I think we should definitely talk more about it. But before we go, we'll talk. Do you have more you want to add to that before we get into
No, I
MAHA?
think yeah, yeah,
I got a few more
talk
minutes.
about your health stuff a little bit and
Yeah, just to promote this thing I'm doing where I'm curing myself of diabetes part two online here on Facebook and YouTube. Here on YouTube and on Facebook. I did an hour thing on the 15th of March that nobody's really watched yet. They probably saw 1 hour, like, I don't have the time for. We like it, Jason, but an hour, I don't know, you know. But it tells a little bit about the history, and it is kind of long, but the updates have been coming ever since then. I'm keeping them. The second one was under 25 minutes. This one I kept under 20, so we're making them shorter.
hmm
But I'm kind of chronicling what I'm eating and exactly what I'm doing
hmm
because you know I've suffered from ketoacidosis and very difficult things, and it's didn't motivate me enough until now. Now it has motivated me to the point where I fasted for 106 hours,
hmm
and since then I've eaten, I think, pretty much nothing but whole food. But not, I've brought my whole food percentage intake up to about 95%, where it was like maybe 50 before.
Yeah, that's big.
Real big, and I've been drinking. I was drinking probably the sugar too. That's the main thing.
Well, yeah,
Sugar. Now
type
back
2
in
diabetes,
2024,
yeah, that's pretty brutal.
well,
So, yeah.
up until the end of 2023, I was committing sugar suicide. But after starting in 2024 and in 2025 and this year so far, I cut back my sugar consumption by about 80%, probably, which is really good, but not 100. I really wanted it to be like 99 or 100, not 80.
hmm
And then I've had little lapses here and there. I noticed I was counting the days. I was tracking days with and without sugar,
hmm
But then I noticed last year and this year I wasn't counting the days anymore. And I noticed I ended up the night before, the 14th of March, I ate like 60 jelly beans, bunch of jelly beans. I have little breakdowns like that every now and then. I know.
hmm
So, but what happened was on the 15th, I've had zero sugar since then,
Okay.
like zero. As far as added sugar, I've had a couple blackberries or whatever, but I've had zero,
Yeah,
really
that's okay. So there.
very virtually zero sugar. My sugar intake has been what a human should be, like
Mhm.
6 to 10 grams a day, not like
Yeah. Well, yeah,
200, which people the
not
average
like
American does
20
what,
or
200?
60.
Yeah,
So,
ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm off that, and this is only the 10th day, but 10 days in a row. I'm tracking the days like I was in 2024 again. I'm 10-0 now, and so I'm on a and so this time I'm even going to take it further. Like I'm going to cure it. Like you I know you believe it's curable.
hmm
I believe it's curable. You think it's as simple as just cutting out sugar pretty much and giving it time, right? I think it's pretty much. I agree with you. I tend to agree with you. But I'm gonna take it further by eating as much like raw foods and of course whole foods like stir fries and things like that.
hmm
I've been getting into stir fries. I'm like. Let me just give you guys a little secret. I'm starting to turn into a little Chef Emerald over here with the stir fries.
Okay.
I'm getting good at them.
All right.
Tasty.
All right.
So the plan is I know nothing worthwhile in life is easy. So curing diabetes, and you can tell me if you disagree with me, isn't as simple. It's simple as cutting out sugar and eating right, but and getting exercise too. Um, but it's also I'm going to fast regularly, not 106 hours, but shorter fast, intermittent fasting, things like that. Making sure I eat within an 8 to 10 hour time frame, and then try to leave my body a rest at night, and eating more in the morning and less at night. I think people are supposed to be eating more in the morning, building up the energy, and then as they're getting ready to rest, but we tend to eat more at night and less in the morning. I don't think that's the best for the human body. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think it probably varies by person. Like if
yeah, maybe your
I'm
work schedule
fasting,
work
I'm
schedule would matter, right? Your work
yeah,
schedule would
work
probably matter.
schedule and
Sure,
just how your body reacts to food as well. So,
true.
you know,
But anyway, I know nothing worthwhile is easy, and I do think curing diabetes is a matter of detoxifying the body, and that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Matter of fact, I've read that the plan I have would take as much as 2 or 3 years even before I
Mhm.
could actually go get a blood glucose test from a doctor and say, "Oh, I don't see any diabetes in this one,"
Right.
to that level, right? So
Well,
that's the
you've been ignoring it for a long time,
I
so
ignored it for
yeah.
I'll tell you what, from 2015 to 2019, I half ignored it. And then from 2020 to 2023, I almost completely ignored it.
So it's gonna take time to fix. I mean,
Yeah.
my blood sugar started to go up. As soon as I knew it was a problem, I got right on it. And then it only took a few months for it to become normalized again.
Yeah. So
But
you,
that's
even though you
without even paying
technically,
attention to it.
so
So
even though you're technically a diabetic, you really virtually have very little, you
no,
don't have
I'm
very
not
much difficulty.
technically a diabetic because I don't have those numbers. And the other thing is it'd be interesting to see what the standard is because, for example, with something like cholesterol, they've slowly been lowering the standard for what's acceptable so that they're more likely to
Uh,
put you on pills. So I don't know if they've been doing that with type 2 diabetes as well. That
Interesting.
being said, it may not be. But it's basically anybody, we tend to not process sugars as well the older we get. So
Yeah. So it becomes more complicated.
that's what the human
It be,
body does.
well, it's part of aging. It becomes more
Yeah, it
complicated.
is. It's part of aging. We
So
start
you
to,
just don't eat sugar and you don't have to worry about it.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Are we there?
I think we're there. It's
Okay.
been a good one.
Yeah, it's been a good one. All right. This has
We'll be
been
back on Thursday.
all right.
All right.
I'll take us out.
Okay,
So,
let's do it.
okay. So God bless America. God bless Connecticut. And everyone have a beautiful couple of days until we're back on Thursday.
Common Sense News Entertainment. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.